Good evening, everyone. We'll just give a couple minutes as people come trickling in. Good evening, everyone. We are so excited that you are joining us tonight. We couldn't be more honored that you're spending your Monday evening with us. We hope that this will be a really engaging and fun session for you to learn more about the opportunities that we have at Laurier. Thank you for joining us. We would like to acknowledge that Wilfrid Laurier University and its campuses are located on the Haldimand Tract, traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. Today, this gathering place is home to many First Nations, Métis, and Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. Acknowledging them reminds us of our important connection to this land where we live, learn, and work. We recognize, honor, and respect these nations as the traditional stewards of the lands and water on which Laurier is now present. Thank you so much for joining us. We welcome you to our Zoom room. Soon to be, we'll have you on campus, and we can't wait for that opportunity down the road. But for tonight, we welcome you into our homes to be able to learn about the opportunities at Laurier, and we hope to be able to share any answers to the questions that you have about coming to university next year. Whether you yourself are a student or you're a family member watching tonight, we really hope to make you feel at home at Laurier this evening. So you can chat, you can throw questions in the chat function here, and we'd like to maybe test that out and see if it works. If you feel comfortable to share where you're coming from tonight, where you're joining us from, what city are you, or what area of the world are you joining us from this evening? I myself am in Milverton, so it's a small town just west of Waterloo. Our dean, who I'll introduce in a couple moments, she is just east of Waterloo in Guelph, which maybe some of you are there as well this evening. So throw it in the chat where you're from if you want to share. We would love to know where you're coming from. And in the chat function, okay, so someone Waterloo, Guelph, Kitchener, Sophs, you're from Canmore, Alberta, amazing. Oh, Sonia's from Stratford. I grew up in Stratford. I had the privilege of being Justin Bieber's babysitter.
Oh, wow, you've never said that. I didn't know. Yeah, it's fun to see where everybody's coming from.
Dundas, Markham. Incredible. Keep it coming. I love to see where people are from. Peru is in the house. Incredible. We thank you so much for joining us. This is incredible to see. So if you have any questions throughout our presentation this evening, feel free to throw them into the chat. We'll happily kind of interrupt our presentation and be able to address them. We'll also be able to answer questions on the back end. This is being recorded, so I do just want to let you know that if you want to leave your camera off or your audio off, feel free, as this will be recorded and shared on our YouTube video at a later date. And so that being said, you can always come back and return to it if you need. But I hope that you can kind of join us for this evening. We have a pretty tight schedule. We're going to try and keep things going and be able to walk through all the things that Faculty of Arts and Wilfrid Laurier has to offer.
And Megan, maybe we'll mention that if you have a question, really don't hesitate, because a lot of people watch the recordings later. And so if you have a question, it's very possible that somebody later on, as they're watching, has the exact same question. So we would like to hear it and address it. So you can throw them in as you go.
Absolutely.
You want me to change the slide?
Yes, please.
Here we go.
So this
sorry, I went too fast. Okay.
This evening, as we said, we're just going to have a conversation between us and kind of go back and forth and be able to share our experiences and what different things are offered. And so we have some students to join us in a couple moments as well, who will be able to talk about your experiences and answer any questions that you have. So this evening, you'll get to be really engaged with our dean, which is an incredible thing that we can offer as having such an exceptional leader in our faculty. You'll learn about programs, so different program offerings that we have and different pathways that you can discover along your journey at university. University is such an incredible opportunity to not only discover yourself and where your interests, your skill sets lie, but also what you're passionate about learning about and what opportunities are on the other side of university. And so connecting with programs and pathways that really inspire you and captivate your interest are ultimately going to lead you to a path that's much more in line with your values and your interests moving forward. You'll also hear successful study tips and student success tips throughout. We really want you to benefit from being here tonight. Whether you decide that Laurier is home for you or not, we would really like to provide you some encouragement that a university degree is definitely attainable. You are here for a reason. You've identified that you want to go to university, and we're here to encourage you, whether that's at Laurier or not. We believe in you, whether you're a first-time student going off to university, a first-generation student, or anything else. We are so excited to be able to share a couple tips with you throughout this evening's session. And we are open to conversation and to questions throughout. So feel free to throw them in the chat, like I said, or even unmute yourself, raise your hand, and you can ask a question away as well. And I will pass it over to our dean for her to introduce herself. It's incredible to have such a strong leader in our faculty. She's definitely a mentor of mine and someone I look up to. And so to know that you could come to a university and have a leader like this leading the charge would be incredible. And so this evening, I'm very excited to share the panel with her and be able to learn from her as well. So Dr. Sophie La Chapelle, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Megan, and you're very kind. And I just realized I have the same dress on the photo in white and in black tonight. So I don't think I have that much imagination. I'm still wearing the same thing. So thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I started on July 1st as dean, but also at Laurier. I came from another institution. So it's still very new to me. So in a sense, it's been interesting to see a new university after having been at my previous institution for 15 years and realizing that universities may be very similar in a lot of ways. They're also very different in many others. Just to tell you a little bit about me, I'm a historian, so I'm in the Department of History, and my specialty is modern France. I work on the relationship of science and technology to entertainment. So I've written on the history of magic shows in the 19th century and ways in which they incorporated science and technology. So things like special effects, for example. And then in the last few years, I've turned to the world of opera, and I've worked on the intersection of opera and medicine and public health, but also electricity, gaslighting, and opera. And so all the new technology and how they influenced how people were entertained and how cultural events functioned. So I say a bit of that to give you a sense of your professors at university are researchers, and they generally research pretty specific topics. They'll teach you on broader courses. So courses I've taught in the past, and one that I'll teach starting next year at Laurier is the history of science and technology across the world from prehistory to the present. So that's what I mean. We teach some really broad courses, but in our lives as researchers, we research some specific things and write articles and books about this. And I think that makes for really interesting discussions, because if you take, for example, history and you compare high school to university, a history course in university will be taught by somebody who actually writes history, researches history, goes to the archives. And that's the same for all of the disciplines. So it really brings a different dimension to courses, because you're not only studying the content of the discipline, you're also talking with your teachers on how you actually do that content, right? And so then the other thing I wanted to say really quickly is that, as I said, I started 4.5 months ago. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how it's been to join Laurier. It was really important for me. I didn't apply. I applied to one job, this one, and it was really important for me to apply to and to be in a university that was student-centered, and that was a community, and where people really felt like there was a sense of working together. And I liked that Laurier is so compact as a campus. It's hard to walk across campus and not meet 10 people, you know. I really liked that a lot of the staff at Laurier went to Laurier. It's a good sign where people stay at the university and care about it, and it's a common project. You know, it might sound weird that for a job for Dean, one of the things I did when I applied is I actually looked on YouTube to see what the students said about Laurier before coming. And then I was just so charmed and convinced that it was a great place, because I loved how students talked about Laurier themselves. And since I've been here, it's been better than I thought. I'm not good. It's challenging to come in a new place, and it will be challenging for you to adapt to university. You have to adapt to new processes, new policies, and I have to do all of this right now. But in terms of the people, that part has been so easy. I've met with faculty, and it's so clear how much they value pedagogy, how seriously they take their jobs as teachers, how seriously they take the curriculum and the progression and think through it in really thoughtful ways. And I haven't taught a course yet at Laurier. I'm starting next year, and part of the reason I want to teach is because I want to have that experience with the students. But I have met a number of students, and I've been so impressed. And I would say I have found the students to be generally involved, would be a word I would use, right? Like and engaged, I think, in both the academic side of their lives, and also the Laurier community. And we have actually 3 examples tonight of students that have decided to show up just because they care. And I think that says a lot about Laurier as an institution. So Megan, oh no, next slide is me. So we wanted to talk to you a little bit about what to expect in first year. It's different from high school. Every semester you take 3 courses. Some take a bit less, 4 sometimes, but let's say if you take 5 courses in the fall and 5 courses in the winter, they run for the whole semester from September, December, and then January, April. Each course is usually 3 hours, so it means 15 hours a week. So it's a lot less time in class than probably what you're used to in high school, but a lot more work outside of class than what you're used to in high school in terms of reading, preparing, writing, studying. And then there's a lot more flexibility in your schedule. So it's not unusual to have a day off, for example, in terms of classes. And then also a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can take, because we have quite a lot of courses. Usually the major you choose, if you choose it already in first year, you'll have maybe a course in the fall and a course in the winter. And the rest is really for you to explore different things. Are you interested in double majoring, taking a minor, taking an option, or just keeping your options open? And all of this is for you to decide. You can come in with a specific idea and stick to it. One of the great things about the BA is you can always change your mind. And I think a lot of us, and me included, right, as we take courses, as we take different professors, we start to get passionate about something that often we didn't necessarily know we would be passionate about. So that can happen as well. I think, so I don't have access to the notes. Megan, is there anything I forgot about the slide? No? Okay, you're still
No,
on.
I think you're good.
All right, so I'll leave it to you and design my degree.
And I introduced you and I never said anything about who I was. So just to give us a brief context to who I am, I'm currently the manager of recruitment, retention, and communications in the Faculty of Arts. So an incredible job that touches on our incoming students and then how we support the students while they're here, and while they go throughout their degree. So that's my role. I have some incredible opportunities to be in the classroom with our students, as well as plan and prepare for our students at all the different stages of their time with us. I myself am one of the students that have never left. So I started in 2007 and I have yet to leave Laurier. I've lived in 10 of our different buildings on campus. I was heavily involved in residence, went into professional work on that side, and then continued into academic advising and the academic side of what Laurier does. So a very broad spectrum of experiences and a proud graduate of the Faculty of Arts as well. So I have lots that I could pull from experience throughout if there's any questions on any of those things. So when you look at university, it's sometimes difficult to pick a program based on what your high school experiences have been, because not always is there a program that has had courses in your high school. So university is a lot about discovering new courses and programs that are offered. And so we really like you to come in with an idea as to what program you would like to do, but it's not set in stone in the Faculty of Arts. So if you have, let me just pull up the chat. I want to watch to see what programs you're thinking about. Throw in the chat what program you've identified that you want to start at Laurier in, and we can definitely cover some things in that.
Yeah,
okay,
and
so
there's already Cameron who's written, what if they choose math, but it's in the BA?
So the Faculty of Arts houses all the programs that are identified here in the left column of pick your program. That's not to say that there aren't programs that you can also attain a Bachelor of Arts degree in. The mathematics program is housed out of our Faculty of Science. So although you can definitely apply and get into mathematics and do a BA, it would be housed in the Faculty of Science. But you can stay on with us tonight. There's definitely lots that we can cover about the Laurier experience.
And Megan, you can double major, right? So if you're interested in math and sociology, for example, or math and political science, those are combinations that come to me as good combination, then that's entirely possible. It's really great to see all the different ideas for majors that everyone has on the chat.
Yeah. So, okay, so so let's talk about, sounds like there's a question about options and what minors are. So when you come into university, you can choose one program or a major. And that means that out of a Bachelor of Arts degree is 40 classes. So that's 10 for 4 years. So 10 courses each year for 4 years, if that's the way that you do your degree. And so if you're doing 40 classes, about 20 of those are all within one discipline, say in global studies. So half of your discipline is going to be in one program. The other courses, the other 20 can be electives. They could be courses that make up a minor or an option. But once you identify your program, that's going to be the bulk of the courses that you do. And so in your first year, most of our programs only have 2 course requirements in year 1. And the other ones would be electives and courses that you kind of want to identify as of interest. So if you're undecided in a program, say you are thinking global studies, but you're unsure, you would want to pick kind of global studies as well as some other ones that might be similar and take all the required courses of those 2 or 3 programs, because you're still going to have space on the side to do electives. But when you're doing one program, that's the bulk of your courses, and you get to do other courses throughout your undergrad. And then a minor is a collection of courses, it's much fewer. So it's about 6 courses. So a major is 20 courses, a minor is 6 courses. And so you can do just a couple courses throughout your undergrad. And all of the minors that we offer are within each of the disciplines. So a minor is one of the list of programs. So you could do a minor in anthropology or global studies or history, whereas our options are interdisciplinary. So options is a little bit more of an enhanced minor. So the courses aren't all the same discipline. They're a collection of courses that our faculty have brought together to provide some type of learning experience. So you could do a community engagement option, which would be courses from a number of our different disciplines to be able to make up that option. And so the number one priority is to pick your major, your program. That's the bulk of the courses that you do. And then we're here to support you with what else you're kind of adding on to your degree. You don't need to know right now. We're very early on. I know some of you have probably already applied, but we have lots of time to figure those things out. And so we'll talk on the later end about how to connect with us and have those conversations, but just know that we're here for you to explain all of this much more in depth. And it's great to see all the programs you're interested in. That's incredible to see.
I agree. So we wanted to talk to you a little bit about the specialized pathways. We do have a few options that are maybe that they're a bit more planned because they're more packed and there's less electives. So one of them is the Sussex Law option, which is available for the program Political Science and Philosophy as majors. And Serena later on will be able to talk to you about this because she is in political science, Sussex Law. And what it is you do part of your degree, your political science, you start your political science degree here with us, then you go to Sussex, and then you come back with us. And it is, Serena, you'll have to tell me if I'm wrong, it is 2 years here, 2 years, is it 3 years here, 2 years at Sussex, 1 year here? 2 years here.
Yeah, so it's 2 years here, 3 years at Sussex, and then you do one more last year at
Laurier. 2 + 3 + 1. And so you can do this, and then after this, you have you end up with a bachelor's of arts in political science from Laurier or in philosophy from Laurier, and a law degree from Sussex in the United Kingdom. And I'll let Serena talk a bit more about this later. We also have the International Education Studies program. And this is a program that is a collaboration between the Faculty of Education and the Faculty of Arts. And it is meant for those students who are interested in either international education to work in NGOs, or to work on the international scene, but from the side of education, or those who are interested in studying being teachers abroad, for example. So it's a very interesting program as well. And then a number of you mentioned film studies in the chat. And so we also have in film studies, we have the option to do film studies with the Vancouver Film School, where you do your degree here, but you also go for 1 year in Vancouver to the film school. And so you graduate both from Laurier with the BA in film studies and with the degree from Vancouver Film School. And then we have an option in English, history, and political science to fast track you from the BA to the master's degree. It's a 4+1, so you do 4 years of your BA and 1 year of your master's degree. And by the time you graduate, within 5 years, you both have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. And a number of jobs that I now sit on committees require a master's degree. So I think it's a great idea to spend that extra year and get the master's degree. And then the management option, Megan, I'll let you talk to that because I'm still new and still figuring out all of these options.
Absolutely. So our management option is extremely popular during the recruitment phase, where students are really learning about what they can do with a Bachelor of Arts degree and how can they supplement that with the experience of our business school. And so we offer a management option, which is a collection of courses from our Lazaridis School of Business and Economics. So we have some incredible faculty members over there that support students in learning more about the business sector and taking courses from economics, accounting, management. There's a collection of courses that you would do throughout your undergrad. I will caution you though, as I said, I support students when they're in the programs. And so I do want to caution you that it is a very challenging program. And as student support staff, we definitely want you to prioritize your emphasis on picking your program and excelling in the program that you pick, and then complementing that with the management option if you're up for that task, because it is math heavy. So for maybe Cameron that's on the call, you might want to do that option. And then just to touch on the Vancouver Film School. So it's actually a really condensed version of getting that certificate from the Vancouver Film School along with your BA from Laurier. So instead of taking 5 years, you're able to do that in 4 years while you're at Laurier. And you can do your certificate from Vancouver Film School in production, in writing or acting. So you're able to complement the film degree really well with being able to do that pathway. And so those are more of our really specialized programs. So they have a bit more prescribed as to like what courses you have to do each year, whereas the last slide showed you all of the programs, and those ones are quite flexible. So when we're looking at what the difference of high school to university is, Sophie was able to touch on what the course structure looks like. And so when you come into university, you have, for the most part, a lecture for a course, as well as you might have a tutorial or a lab. And so at Laurier, we're able to offer really small class sizes when you're able to engage with your faculty members in a smaller setting in a tutorial or lab. Whereas some of our classes might be really big in comparison to what you're experiencing in high school. Some of the courses we really recommend to students coming in is our Skills for University Success. And so that's a course that's hosted by the Faculty of Arts. So it's exclusive to only students in our faculty. And you work directly with a professor to build upon your skills as you come in and transition. It's a very hard transition to be able to come from what you're experiencing in high school, especially during a pandemic, to be able to exceed in university. And so we have just this past year created this course to be able to support you. And we've offered it to the majority of our incoming students. And it's incredible to see what they're learning and being able to adapt in that transition. So we highly encourage that one. We also encourage the Introduction to Academic Writing, where it's writing intensive to really work on that craft right into your university degree. And it complements your entire degree. The students that are able to take that course do so well after that. And then I've listed there just some other popular courses that we have for you to kind of look at and to envision you sitting in the class learning about those things with your Laurier hoodie that's pictured on the screen. Some of the tips that I'd suggest to you as you come into university, like I said, whether it's at Laurier or elsewhere, there's some strong statistics about those that sit in the first 3 rows of a university class are going to perform better. So we encourage you when you're in class, definitely be engaged, stay up front and close. We're so excited to be welcoming most of our students back this winter to in-person learning. So we're very eager to see those students up front and personal. We also encourage you to utilize faculty office hours. We have some incredible faculty members. It's definitely why I have never left Laurier, are the faculty members that I learned from and who are now my peers that I get to do calls with and hang out with every day. And so I encourage you to utilize their office hours and be able to meet with them. It's incredible that these teachers are just here to support us in our growth and our learning. And so being able to be supported by them one-on-one is definitely a very big suggestion for me to pass along to you. Sophie, was there anything else that you can think of?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that we did mention, because sometimes in first year, you don't necessarily feel that some of the resources are for you. I know I know, like, I don't know that I went to visit professors in their office hours, and I should have. And you know, the other things that I didn't think as a student that that was for me is I thought things like the career center or these kind of resources, like first year was too early to go, and that's not true. I think that all of the resources are there from the start, and it is important to really use them, because they're really there to support our success. And I think that it took me a while as a student to figure that out, and figure out that I should maximize and I should take advantage of all of it.
Yeah. And I mean, in first year, I don't know that I was reaching out to faculty members that much, but as my time progressed, I definitely did more and more. And I think I changed my program 3 times. So in my first year, I came into a program that I very quickly discovered wasn't the best suit for me. I changed, and then I changed again. And now I loved it. And I mean, most of my friends are really jealous that I loved going to class. And I think it took that journey of figuring out what was best suited for me. And then once I found it, being able to talk to professors and really take my learning to the next level was definitely key for where I am now, and kind of the engagement I had with Laurier. And the university time frame is so critical in a person's experience. Like, I think back to that time for me, and I dealt with a lot of things, like, and being able to have professors that really supported me and staff were essential to me being able to work through those things. And so as you're going into university, knowing that it's going to be a time of transition, maybe levels of homesickness, being worried, feeling like an imposter, like you're not really meant to be at university. There's a lot of emotions tied to the university experience, as well as you're transitioning from living at home potentially to living on campus. There's also a lot of transition that those parents on the call may know is in the future. So we're here to support all of you in this time, and definitely utilizing the resources that's what we're here for. That's why we have jobs.
And we can also, because we talked about before, Cameron wanting math, it is also possible to change even beyond the BA. So I started in physics, mathematics, and realized I was more interested in the history, the philosophy, the sociology of science, the context, that I was in the science itself. And so even from the science to arts, which was the best transition for me when I did it, because that was my passion. I'll change this slide.
We'll try to go as quickly as we can to wrap this up, because I want to give the students the most amount of time to be able to chat with you. So beyond the classroom, there's so much at Laurier. It's kind of what we're known for. When I talk about the Laurier experience, I always say our specialty is we excel at the undergraduate experience. You're able to know a strong sense of community. When we're back on campus, when you walk around, you just feel that people really care about you. I remember when I was visiting universities in 2007, but while I was deciding where to go, at Laurier, I remember someone like 20 feet in front of me held the door open for me. And I remember I came on a day that they weren't giving residence tours, but I really wanted to see a residence room. And someone was like, oh, I'll come show you, come on up. And I just like felt such a sense of home and felt of welcome. And so it's incredible to see the opportunities available to have that sense of community. We have over 200 clubs, so ways to get involved. If there isn't a club that meets your needs, you can create your own. So there's lots of opportunities to be with like-minded people and be able to connect with others. And we have an incredible careers department. It's sought after. There's American universities that come to take a tour and learn from what we're doing. It's an incredible program, and we'll talk about co-op a little bit later as well. There's great co-op opportunities, and Delaney is one of our co-op students who can speak to that as well. And we have a ton of international opportunities. I cannot wait till I can get on a plane again and be able to do an international opportunity. But we have lots to offer to our students. So exchanges, opportunities to take courses that are abroad. We also have a really big push to become more internationalized and to bring more students from across the globe to our classrooms on campus. And so whether you yourself are looking to go abroad or you just want to learn more about the world, it's definitely high interest of Laurier to offer those opportunities. Here are where some of these are some of the places that our co-op students are currently working. And so across lots of spectrums, from the private sector to education, to counseling, roles in law firms, banks. This is just a collection of places where co-op students currently are. We have co-op students from across all of our programs that are going into incredible placements. And whether you're doing a co-op term or you're just looking for an internship or an opportunity to work throughout the summers, there's lots of support available for you to gain that work experience, so that when you're coming out of university, you're not just coming out with the education, but you also have some work experience to complement your abilities, as well as just that learning opportunity to know what type of work you want to do when you come out the other end of a degree. And here are just a couple of our alumni. Like I said, I'm an alumni, so I'm a proud graduate. And I feel so honored to be able to have a network to connect with. There's over 100,000 alumni from Laurier. And because of the strong sense of community you have, honestly, if I travel and I have a Laurier, like a Golden Hawks tag on my bag or something, it's incredible to see the connection that you have when you go out into the world and be able to resonate with others. And so it's incredible community to become a part of. And then even beyond that, my friends, everyone just always comes back home. So it's such a cool community to be a part of. And like I said, I've never left, so I haven't had to have that feeling of to come back to Laurier, but I know my friends feel that for sure. And I think we already touched on this. There's so many supports and resources available, and we just really encourage you to reach out to them. There's so many different resources and offices to go to. So just know you can come just directly to us. We'll share in the last slide our email, artsadvising@wlu.ca. So if you have any questions, just bring them there. We'll be able to direct you to the right resource on campus. But like most universities, we have lots of opportunities available. So how we kind of think of it is like we're our own little city within a city. So anything that you need, it's within our block, and we can be able to support you in your own well-being as well as your life. So let's move on to the students. We can talk so long about these things.
Let's do it. I was too eager.
That's okay. So we're going to pass it off to each of our students to talk for a couple moments, introduce themselves. I will say Lucy, I believe it's Lucy, has class at 7. So we'll make sure to have her have an opportunity to chat, and she'll sneak out at some point. But that's how engaged our students are. They're jumping on this call even though they have class. That's the students that we have. So Serena, I will pass it over first to you, and then when you're done, if you just want to pass it on to Delaney, that would be perfect.
Perfect. Okay. Hi everybody. As you know, through my little picture up there and my little name tag on the screen, my name is Serena. I am in my 3rd year at Laurier, technically at Laurier, but I'm studying political science in the BA Law program at the University of Sussex. So since I'm in my 3rd year, I'm actually in England right now at the University of Sussex getting my law degree. So a little bit of a time difference, but that's okay. I love talking about Laurier.
I was thinking it must be so late.
It's about 12 o'clock here, but that's all right. I love it.
Wow, thank you so much for being with us.
No problem. Yeah, I love talking about this program. So any opportunity I get. I'm quite involved on campus, both here and at Laurier. Currently, I am a part of a program that the University of Sussex offers, and that's interesting to most law school or law students because it's an actual legal clinic that they have on campus. They have several of them, about 7 different types. And I'm currently working with Black and minority children and making sure that they're able to get the education that they deserve if they've been removed from the education system. So that's a pretty amazing opportunity that I was fortunate enough to get in my very first year at law school within the first few months of being here. I'm also involved at Laurier and the Laurier Political Science Club, the Laurier Model United Nations Club, the Laurier Ambassadors, House Councils, and all that good stuff. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. If you have any questions about the program, about involvement, working on campus, or anything like that, feel free to pop those in the chat. And I'm really hopeful that we'll have an amazing discussion here today. So I'll pass it on to Delaney.
All right, so hi everyone, my name's Delaney Thomas. I'm in my 4th year now of sociology with minors in Indigenous studies and women in gender studies. So that actually means that I'll be done in April, which is really crazy. But I'm actually deciding to stay at Laurier and do one of their graduate programs, but I'm switching campuses over to Brantford. So throughout my 4 years, I started off in a general arts program. So I was able to kind of find out what I really wanted to do during my first year. And throughout the couple courses that I took, I realized that sociology was for me, and then I kind of stuck with it. As well as I'm also pretty involved. I'm a Laurier Ambassador, which is where we give tours for prospective students like yourself, as well as I'm the Indigenous Student Association president. So we'll host different events throughout the year for our Indigenous and allied students, where we kind of give a community, but as well as we'll do educational events for our different departments at the university. And then I'll pass it off to Lucy.
Hi everyone, my name is Lucy. I'm in my 3rd year here at Laurier for Communication Studies. I have concentrations in digital media as well as visual communications. I have been pretty involved on campus. I am also a Laurier Ambassador. I also work for the Dean of Students office as a Laurier leader. I am involved in clubs such as Kids Help from Laurier. I'm also VP of Entertainment and Events for Relay for Life. I love the campus here and I hope to see you soon.
That's so amazing, Megan. Maybe while we wait for questions, I do have, like, I wonder if what would be your advice looking back to first year? What advice would you give about first year? All of you, I don't know if one wants to start first. Serena, maybe? Oh,
Yeah, I have some really amazing stories about Laurier. I think most of us on this panel do. But I'd really like to pinpoint something that was mentioned earlier in the presentation about, utilizing the resources here on campus. As someone who came from a background where I wasn't very good at spelling, even though I was entering into an arts degree, having things like the Writing Center was amazing. But for any students out there that are worried entering into their first year, really talk to your profs. I know both Megan and Sophie mentioned it, but I made it my mission in my first year to at least talk to one prof, and I did. And it ended up being probably the best decision I could have ever made. I walked her to and from class every day, and we'd have some amazing discussions. She pointed me towards some really key resources that I would need to get through the course. She introduced me to a lot of amazing people in the political sphere that I ended up working with and getting a chance to interview while I was at Laurier. She told me about events I would have had no idea about. I actually got to meet Kathleen Wynne and our MP for Waterloo and a bunch of the people who were running for MP that year. I got to meet people who were aides to the Prime Minister at the time. And so you never really know what it's going to lead to, but talk to your profs, talk to your TAs. or your teacher's assistants if you're not familiar with the acronym. And it really will help you. And in general, just talk to the resources that you have, because they're open to talking to you, and they really do just want to help guide you through your first year experience. So I'll pass it off to someone else if they have another answer to that
question. Can I just say,
question.
Serena, before I'm glad you mentioned not good at spelling, and how, like, sometimes people hesitate for an arts degree. So I'm not a native English speaker. So I first went into university in English when I was 23. Before that, it was all French. And so I do feel that it is possible, even when you arrive and you have very basic language skills, to pick it up in a few years if you use those resources, if you use the writing specialists, if you take the English writing courses, you can really improve. And it's just a skill. I'm so glad I did, because then I ended up making a career out of the skills I learned by writing English, and by learning to be able to, by learning English better. So yes, Lucy and Delaney, some advice to first years?
Sure. I think my biggest advice, and every time I do a tour, I say this, is get involved. I know in my first year, I was like very shy, didn't know what to do. And I was coming to a university that like I knew no one. I decided to go to a university where I had no friends. All my friends went to different universities. And in my first year, I was a part of Locus, which is Laurier's off-campus university students. And it's just a program for students who decide not to live in residence. And I met so many of my best friends to this day in that program. And then through that program, I learned to join like so many clubs on campus, like Kids Helpful in Laurier or Relay for Life. And I've met some amazing people through there too. So I highly recommend getting involved, whether that joining a club, joining a workout class, anything like that. And I'm sure you'll meet someone that shares a common interest with you.
Yeah, so similar to Lucy and Serena as well, kind of find out what works for you, like even within your academics, but also in like your social life at Laurier. So definitely put yourself out there as much as you can. I was like Lucy, I was really shy and wasn't really sure how to go about going to school where I didn't know a lot of people. So definitely try to push yourself as much as you can during your first year. And it's bound to get easier the more you do it.
We have a question about, well, I encourage you to throw on your cameras if you feel comfortable to do so. We're happy to have a conversation or do a question and answer period with your cameras on, or you can unmute. We had one question come in that someone did want to ask by unmuting, so you can feel free.
Okay, I actually was interested in going into the global studies program, and so I applied just a week ago. I got my my portal, a link to the portal, so I'm just working on submitting my ABS form. And on the website, I saw that how admissions work is that there's 3 scenarios. Scenario 1 being, I think they use all your grade 11 courses to see if you like meet the cutoff. Scenario 2 is where they use a mix of grade 11 and 12 courses. And scenario 3 is where they use your grade 12 courses only. For the ones where they're mixed, like the grade 11 and the 12, so that would be scenario 2. Do the grade 12 midterms count, or is it just grade 12 final marks that they're talking about?
Are there any of our ambassadors that know the quick answer to that?
I can send the link to the scenarios thing. I think maybe that'll help, because I'm not sure if I explained it very well.
So for any admissions related questions, what I'll do, because what I would prefer you to have the confirmation of is from our admissions team. So choose laurier@wlu.ca. So email them with your specific question, and then they'll be able to review and make sure that you have all the appropriate things. Because I think depending on when you apply, we'll look at certain grades, but obviously then we confirm with your grade 12 full, like the grades that you have from this full year. So depending on where you're at in high school, you may receive like an offer before we confirm that offer later.
Oh,
Is there
got it.
anything
Okay.
from any of our ambassadors that want to, does that sound good?
I think, yeah, it very much so what Megan said. Probably what you have right now, I'm assuming, is a conditional offer. And those conditional offers, and the stages that you're talking about, the first stage was grade 11, and then you have your mix, and then those are usually just what we're using to base those conditional offers off of. And then at the end of the process, we'll say, okay, well, if you continue with these grades that you're getting in grade 11 within your grade 12 year, or if you continue with what we've seen the mixed grades are, by the end, we'll send you an absolute offer, or we'll confirm the offer that we've already sent you. So right now, it's not necessarily that we're looking at, oh, your grade 11 grades and giving you that, complete offer where you can accept right away and just hop into Laurier. Right now, we're always going to end up looking at your grade 12 marks, but it's just later along in that offer process.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, so there are some questions coming in. So are there any interesting co-op opportunities geared toward history majors? I can quickly do a lookup as to where some of our history majors are for you to see, because I don't think anyone else on this call will have that response right away. Does the Faculty of Arts have a specific residence, or can you choose whatever residence you desire once accepted?
Megan Delaney, I think, could answer some of the co-op question.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that how co-op works is either you can secure a position either through the co-op department, or you can actually go and like search for your own placement. So, if you have a professor that you're really interested in their research and it's geared toward history, you can definitely approach them and see if you can work with them. I know the co-op services also have different awards that you can secure as well. So I know for me, in my first co-op term, I was able to actually get an award where my funding was covered, and then I could choose to work with any kind of organization that needed the help. So I worked at like a not-for-profit group, and I was able to kind of choose where I wanted to do my placement with.
Can I just add, in addition to that, when it comes to history, if you're looking for kind of a more hands-on approach to your education, and in addition to co-op, we have a lot of experiential learning opportunities through the same center as the Co-op and Career Center that offers. I know usually when we're giving tours, we always talk about the archaeology digs that are available to students, and they're available to all students, I believe, not just history students. So that's kind of a more hands-on approach to history. If you're looking for something kind of like co-op, but maybe not exactly, more short-term learning, but hands-on. So that's just another pathway that I'd like to throw, just in case.
Lucy, is there anything you want to add before you have to hop off for class?
I do. I was just about to say, once Serena was done, that I was so happy to be able to join everyone today. If you do have any questions, please feel free to go to our ambassador page. We have tons of student ambassadors who are in tons of different fields and programs here at Laurier. And if you have any questions at a specific program that you see, you're like, wow, I love business students, communications, history, any like that, please feel free to send us an email, and we'd be more than happy to help you with anything. So with that being said, I would love to pop off and join my class.
Thank you
What
so
class
much
are you
for
going
joining
to?
us. Yeah, have fun at the class.
It's a communications class. It is gender and communications and pop culture. So I'm super excited to join that class. Bye, everyone.
Have fun.
Thank you.
I will touch on the residence question. So we do have a ton of different residence options. We're fortunate at Laurier where we have apartment style, dormitory style, single room, double room, lots of different options for you. And when it comes to your faculty, we don't have specific residences that are tied to a faculty per se. We do have residence communities. So within a building, we don't have, say, like a residence building that's solely our business students or our art students or anything like that. But we do have floors within buildings that are specific to a discipline or to an area of interest. So for instance, we have a community that is for students who have interest in history, and we have communities that have a collection of students that have interest in singing and songwriting, or we have an entrepreneurship course that's tied to a specific residence. So there's lots of different options. And you can look at, I'll throw a link in our chat here so that you can learn more about our residence learning communities. They're really cool because you have a faculty tied to that residence community. So you have a faculty member who's really engaged with the floor and being able to connect with you. And we have a senior student who lives on the floor, which is called a Dawn at Laurier. And they'll be able to offer you additional support too as a senior student who's potentially in that program. Cameron's asking, so the dormitory is for all students from all courses and years. So the dormitory is kind of just the term of what a single room looks like a room with a lounge down the hall and a kitchen. So we don't have specific buildings that are only a specific faculty. It's all students, the sense of community at Laurier. Are there any on-campus job opportunities? How flexible, demanding are they? Does anyone want to jump into that?
I can talk about this a little bit. So I've actually had quite a few jobs since I've been at Laurier, all of which pretty much have been at the Indigenous Student Center, but I know with other student positions as well, it's usually about 10 hours a week. And they definitely understand that you're a student first. So you can definitely work with your supervisor or your managers to work with your schedules of your classes and different exams and your assignments. And it's definitely a great opportunity to get that experience as well. Definitely you meet a lot of people when you're working as well.
I'll just add on to that. Laurier is such a great employer for its students. You can work in the service industry, you can work in the community, you can work in the athletics department, you can work in the recruitment department, and they're all there to support you. One of the great things about, Laurier is that when you get employed in a Laurier job, they understand that you're a student first and that that's the most important thing. And so they're never going to feel the need to, ask you to do something that you're not comfortable with or ask you to stay past when they know you have a class. They really do understand that you're a student and a student attending their school, no less. But in addition to that, Laurier really tries to work hard to make sure that if you are looking for employment, you're going to be able to find it wherever you need it. So we have this amazing database called Navigator. And not only does it allow you to register for courses that help with, employment, whether it be resume workshops or, little appointments with how to, best apply an interview. But they also post regular updates on jobs within the Laurier community and jobs within Waterloo, Kitchener General, and also Brantford. And that's where I found a lot of the career opportunities that I've had throughout Laurier. And it also allows you to look for volunteer opportunities or internships. I know even though I'm halfway across the world, I still check the website to see what they have in the summer category because I'm coming back to Canada during the summer and I do want a job. So it really is just a really helpful, database. And then Megan, if I could hop into some of these residence questions, if that's okay. So I've seen a lot of questions about, whether or not you can live on campus after your first year. Laurier does offer it, campus, I believe, campus residence for second years, but I don't think it's a very popular option. There are so many other buildings around that I do think that finding a place to live in Waterloo, as it is a college town, is very easy. And it's really nice to, even after your first year, I lived in residence my first year, it was amazing. It was great to kind of, get out of residence for a bit and hop into somewhere new that I could make my own for the next couple of years that I was at Laurier. So although, it is possible if you are a Don or an REA or anything like that to get housing on campus during an upper year, usually, other than your first year, you're typically not going to get into residence. And then when it comes to the residence styles, Sophie, I hope this answers your question, but there are no buildings dedicated only to first year because most of the residents are first year. So I don't necessarily think they're dedicated to first year. But when it comes to the room types, there are opportunities for you to have a private bathroom if that's what you feel comfortable with and most comfortable with. When you're filling out your residence application, it's going to ask you to rank your different choices from top to bottom. I know for me, I needed to have an apartment style residence because I really like to cook and I like having a big kitchen. And I was more comfortable in apartment style. And so that meant that I ended up living in an apartment that I did have a private bathroom, but I also had a living space and a kitchen. The same thing is available to you through dorm. So you can have a shared bathroom or a private bathroom. It's really just up to you in that ranking system. And then again, Laurier's residence is done by lottery. So you may not get your very first choice. Just make sure you're aware of that when you're ranking things. And it'll kind of make it easier for us to see what your priorities are. And hopefully through that lottery system, we're able to better support you and what your needs are during residence.
My husband just got a fire pictures going on. Is there any other questions that
Megan, there was one earlier on we missed. It's about film studies. Let me just find it. Yes, will there be any specific Laurier tours for specific programs such as film studies / film production?
So I don't think we have any specific tours for that program itself, although we do have a professor that could talk with you if you want to learn more about that specific program, or like we said, there's definitely students who would love to chat with you as well. So if you want to send us an email at artsadvising@wol.ca, what we can do is connect you with a faculty member and be able to set up a time for you to chat more about the program, especially if you're interested in film production or the Vancouver Film School. I think it's a great opportunity to already start having those conversations to be able to support you in what you want to do. Is there anything that Serena or Delaney you want to share about the film studies or any specific tours that are offered to those students?
So when we actually give the tours, we have like the programs you're interested in. So, if you do take a tour of our campus, your ambassador will kind of know what you're interested in. So they can definitely give you that information and also connect you with another ambassador who might be in that program that can give you some more information.
Yeah, the same goes for our virtual tours. If you do find yourself in a virtual tour, usually at the beginning, the ambassadors will ask, for everybody to put their programs in the chat that they're interested in, just so we can kind of get a feel for who's in the audience and, cater our information to them. So when you're coming on campus, make sure that the program you're interested in is in that email that we're going to get and in that form that you're filling out at the beginning. And then also, if you do think that you are only going to visit the campus virtually, we always have virtual tours running. And so just make sure that you let us know in the chat if your ambassador is there, that you are interested in the film studies program, and we'll make sure that we're catering tours to you, because it really is about making sure that you have a great understanding of what Laurier campus is going to look like for you as a student specifically in that program, and then also that we're providing you with the best information that we can.
And I was just looking at the different residence learning communities that we have right now. And we do have a film and media residence learning community. So if you have identified that you have an interest in film production, that might be an opportunity where you could come together with other students. So you would live right next door to a bunch of other students who have an interest in that, which is a great opportunity to network and be able to create a community. And it is tied with two of our incredible faculty members that are from our film program. Some of the other communities that we have, there's a residence learning community called Change Makers. And so that's all looking at community of entrepreneurs and innovators who are looking at making change. We have the film and media. We have recreation and outdoor leadership. So students from any faculty could join that have an interest in it. Singer and songwriter, women in leadership, World War II and Eastern Europe. So if you have an interest in that, it doesn't matter what program you're in, you can apply for that. So there's lots of different opportunities to live on campus and be closely connected with students who have similar interests to you. How many residence communities are there? There are 132 residence communities. And so within the Waterloo campus, there are a ton of communities. And so every building is a little bit different. There are some buildings that are quite large and they might have upwards of 300 students in them. There are some buildings which are quite small. They might have 20 students in them. So it's really different across campus, but you have a ratio of about 1 to 20 students, 1 Dawn to 20 students in a community. So you have a very closely connected senior student who's living right next door to you to be able to support you in your first year. And that's through anything. So if you have any questions at any point, 2 a.m. in the morning, sometimes the Dawn gets a knock on the door, just being able to connect and touch base. So we have a very supportive residence community. It's one of the best in the country. So it's a very good place to live and learn.
If I can just add to that, when I mentioned earlier my tips and tricks about, coming to Laurier in your first years to talk to people, talk to your Dawns. My Dawn ended up being an English major, and she helped me massively with papers and grading and making sure that my spelling was correct and my grammar was good. She also had a lot of free candy. So talk to your Dawns because they're really amazing people. They're there who, usually they're either going through or recently have gone through what you've gone through when it comes to moving out from home and living away and, learning how to cook for the first time or do your laundry. Also, if you lose your keys, like I did, unfortunately, they're the best people to call, even if it is at 2 a.m., which I've had to do. So, your Dawns are such amazing resources. You'll also have REAs, who are your residence education advisors. They're there to help you specifically with the educational aspect. And they're just amazing to talk to if you need any help in, being directed to different resources on campus. So my REA pointed me towards the writing center when I needed help with writing, and academic advisors if I needed help with my course selection or anything like that. So they really are, they're trained on how to best support their students, and they're just genuinely kind people. So they're definitely great resources to look out for when you're on campus and in your residence.
Incredible. Are there any other questions? Would you recommend taking 4 courses rather than 5 if your program allows it? So Sophia, yes, I absolutely would. So I like that you put in there about if your program allows it. So I said the structure of a 4-year degree would be doing 10 courses each year. After 15 years of experience at the university, it's very rare to see a student's transcript that actually says 10 courses, 10 courses, 10 courses, 10 courses. You can definitely make it flexible within that time frame. So we often recommend students as they come into first year to do 4 courses in your first fall term and then do 5 in your winter term. You can work with us in advising to be able to make sense of how that looks like for you, for your program. But we definitely see that time of transition to be able to support you in that transition in your academics, but also life, to be able to take a lighter course load of 4 courses in your fall term. Then if you had 4 in the fall, 5 in the winter, you're able to still progress into year 2 status with 9 courses, although you probably want to take a course that next summer just to make yourself kind of still on track. Now, there are specific programs where you have to meet progression. And so that would be like Serena's law program, where you want to be very connected to your advisor of those specific pathways, those specialized pathways we talked about. So in cases of international education studies or our political science or philosophy Sussex stream, those are ones that you'd want to definitely touch base with advisors, as well as our management option, which is one that requires you to have completed specific courses and have a specific GPA for progressing. Are there any other questions? So so Sophia's asking, so how would you get in touch with your advisor? Will they contact you when you accept an offer? So our academic advisors are heavily involved in the orientation of you coming to the campus. So we reach out for you to be able to send us what courses you've registered in, and we do a check based on what program you're in to make sure that you've done the right course selection. We're also heavily involved in doing webinars just like this at different points in the year to be able to provide as much knowledge and experience as we can to ensure that you're doing the right things. As a student, I recommend to every student to meet with your academic advisor at least once a term, because there's so many things that we see every day that you might not know or not be able to be the most knowledgeable on, as it's your first time doing these things. And so I always encourage you to come to academic advising at least once a term to be able to ensure that you're taking the appropriate courses and you're getting the grades that you need, and be able to talk about anything else that's going on with your classes. And so, yes, we definitely reach out nonstop, and you don't have to worry, Sophia, we will definitely have conversations. Is there anything else? I don't want to keep people on if there's not too many more questions, but we would love to answer anything that you have. If everyone could just throw in the chat, how are you feeling about going to university? I know it's a strange time. It'd be great to see what people are thinking. Okay, Annabelle's excited.
That's awesome, Annabelle, yeah.
Super nervous, but very excited.
You know, it's interesting because I'm always, when I was really nervous, I was really nervous each semester, and I just assumed that's how students felt. Now that I teach, I'm nervous every semester before we start the first day of class. I'm always nervous. So we're all nervous.
I was nervous before getting on here.
Apprehensive, but mostly good, a bit nervous. I'm nervous but excited. Yeah, those are that. I think that's the everybody feels that way, right? I was looking forward to leaving high school by the end, so, and being at university.
I always like to say that, you know, even though you're nervous for university, just remind yourself you've been through a few transitions in school most of the time. You know, remember what it was like on your first day of school ever, then the jump from kindergarten to grade 1, and then from your middle school or your elementary to your middle school, from there to your high school. So you've done it a few times, and you get those nerves every single time. So don't worry too much. Claire, I'm so glad to see that you put out there that you're not quite sure where you want to go yet. That is totally okay. That's what university is for. I like to say high school courses, although they're great, can be quite restrictive because you have to take, you know, a certain amount when you're getting into university. University is a place where, you know, the world is your oyster. You can take how many different subjects and how many different courses, like we mentioned earlier in the presentation. If you want to combine psychology and, you know, political science for some reason, that is your prerogative. You can do that. And it allows you to explore all these subjects that you never really knew you had access to before. So it's okay to be nervous and not really know what you're going to do. You find that out as you enjoy more and more of your classes, as you follow your little pathway that you're able to kind of mix and match at Laurier.
I love all of what that you said, Serena. That was amazing.
Okay, I'm getting message just personally to me, but I'll say to everyone because I think it would be helpful. So someone asking about different accommodations and classes. And so we do have our Accessible Learning Center. And so contacting them, I'll throw this in our chat just so everyone has their email. Accessible Learning Center at wle.ca. And then I'll get the link as well so that you can have that. If you have accommodations plans in place at your high school, we can definitely be able to support you in university. And so definitely suggest you reach out early. We'll have, when you contact them, you'll have an intake appointment. So you'll be able to have a meeting with someone to talk about what supports will be in place that will be helpful to you. And then you have a direct consultant throughout your university career. And so they're able to work with your professors and you on the best supports available. And so I'll just find a link to you for that as well. Are there any other questions? Serena, what has your favorite course been so far?
Oh, that's hard. Oh, you know what? Okay, I didn't have to take it, but I really enjoyed it. I took, was it one of the introduction to law courses, my first summer at Laurier. And the reason it's my favorite is because my professor, even though it was online, he really liked to use like movie and TV scenarios for his legal cases. I don't know if anybody out there is a Westworld fan, but he was. And so he used to make all of our cases based on scenarios and like what would happen in Westworld. And I just found it really enjoyable. But that's probably one of my favorite cases. I am a law nerd, so I've enjoyed all of my legal and political classes, which is probably to be expected. But yeah, there's some really, really cool ones. I know all my friends mentioned like really unique courses that they've taken. And so definitely I spend probably about a week before courses launch going through all the different course offerings and like tagging them. I took, what was it? It was children's literature. And as someone who collects children's classics books, I didn't think that was going to be a course, but that was amazing because it was, and I got to do something that I loved and read most of the books that I've already read. So that's probably been one of my favorites too. But yeah, if you have any more questions, feel free to put them out there, or you can email us like Lucy said before she left. Me and Delaney are both ambassadors. So we have a lovely little ambassador webpage and it has our little pictures on there and our emails, or we can send them in the chat and you can reach out to us there, because I know I always get really excited when a student emails me and is like, hey, I have questions about your program.
I'm just trying to find where your page is so that we can share a link here.
Yeah, and I'll throw my email in the chat just in case too.
I can put mine in there as well. Definitely feel free to email me if you have any questions. It's definitely a big period in your life. There's a lot of changes and you'll grow a lot throughout university. And that's, I know for me, during the past 4 years, I've grown so much, and you know, a lot of people do. So it's definitely a lot of change, but it's good.
Yeah.
And as someone who has supported students for a lot of years, the feelings of anxiety or nerves or uncertainty of like, did I make the right choice of coming to university? Did I choose the right university? All those sorts of things, those happen to everyone. So as you come in September, October, just, you know, keep that belief inside as to why you chose to come to university. That will keep you working toward the goal. And as we've mentioned on the call earlier, you're capable, you're strong students, you're resilient. I mean, making the choice to pursue education during a pandemic shows a lot about the person that you are, the courage that you have to be able to take this on when so many people are are dealing with a really hard time. And so we're so excited that you have made the leap to be here with us tonight to learn more about what we offer at Laurier. And if you choose us, please know that we're here to support you and encourage you along that path. If you have any questions for us, feel free to email us. The artsadvising@wlu.ca email goes directly to our advising team, which I am a part of. So we'll be happy to connect with you there. We also have the choose.laurier@wlu.ca email. And so that is for any questions, admissions related, or anything about our open houses or any of the events that we're hosting, to be able to share what it is that we offer at Laurier. Please connect with them there. And then like Serena and Delaney said, there's so many ambassadors that would love to talk to you about their experiences. And we do have faculty members that are keen as well to be able to chat with you if you have in-depth questions about our programs. And please connect with us on social, come connect with us, see what we're all about and what our students are doing every day at Laurier. If there aren't any other questions, I think we might wrap up, but it was so incredible to have you with us tonight. In the winter term, we're excited to hopefully be inviting guests onto campus to be able to offer some experiences for you to meet with students and faculty in person and to be able to visit. You can currently have a tour on campus. Delaney, do you want to chat about how students can tour? There is an 8 p.m. tour that some of you have signed up for as well, the virtual tour. But Delaney, if you want to chat about how students can tour, that would be great.
Yeah, so we do have the virtual tours, but you can also be put on our wait list to go on an actual tour. So you'll be put with an ambassador and usually 1 or 2 other families. And then we'll give you a tour of different academic buildings and different service buildings. And we can't unfortunately show you residences, but we definitely have those videos of our residence buildings. And we'll be able to give you an overview of our campus and everything we have to offer for you.
Fabulous. Okay, well, if there's no other line questions, if there's anything, Sophie, do you want to end anything, say anything?
Yeah, I really liked what Serena and Delaney said, because for me, as when I teach as a professor, one of my favorite things is semesters where I teach first year and fourth year, particularly in the fall, because I think students enter as older teenagers and leave the university as young adults. And so I totally agree. It is such an important time in your life. And I feel always privileged in those semesters to see the entire, right from beginning to end. And I think that what you have to think is try to choose a university that feels like it is a good fit for you. It is the place where you want these years that are critical in your life to happen, that transition from older teenager to young adult. And for me, I do, as I said, like one of the reasons I came to Laurier is that I did watch students online, and I did think about the campus and watch how it presented. And I think it is a great place. And I think the Faculty of Arts and the Bachelor's of Arts, and we didn't go through a lot of that, but I think liberal arts education and the Bachelor's of Arts is a great way to have great programs to have during that transition into adulthood.
Incredible. Well, thank you to Dr. La Chapelle for joining us this evening. And thank you to Serena and Delaney and Lucy who jumped off. It was incredible to hear each of your stories and share.
It really was.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you so much.
I could stay on all night.
I was not the greatest with the PowerPoint, but we managed.
Incredible. Thank you everyone for joining us. And like I said, please connect with us. We're here to support you in making the choices to where we'll be home for you for the next 4 or 5 years. So thank you, everyone. There will be a recording of this presentation available if you want to watch it later. And will be a transcription of that as well. But I think with that being said, we'll end for this evening. So thank you so much. And we hope to see you soon.
Yes. Have a great evening, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Stop sharing. All right, well, thank you so much. This was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome.